going on, you guys? We got FHA loans, all right? This is a form of soft money, so used with a bank. Some people call anything that you do with a bank soft money. It's a term you hear not as often in real estate. I would say you find it more on forums and stuff like that. But FHA, right? Federal Housing Authority. This is the type of financing you can get towards your properties. This is a type of property that you plan on staying in pretty much for the next 30 years. Or at least holding it for a while you either rent it out or something along those lines. Now, the reason why this is kind of tricky is because FHA comes with a lot of guidelines. First of all, first and foremost, when you try to buy a property with FHA, it's hard. They only ask for 3.5% down, so it's easy for you to actually acquire funding and have them approve you. However, for the person selling the property, you never sell to FHA, right? I've done it like twice in my life. I will never do it again. It held up my property for months, and that's because FHA inspectors and appraisers are extremely strict. You could take a consensus from a lot of investors, and they'll tell you they are extremely difficult to work with. They feel super entitled and a bunch of other stuff because they know that you can't just go to any inspector, any appraiser. Conventional or even cash purchases and stuff like that, you don't have to worry about one specific type of inspector or appraiser. You can go to just about anybody, right? And appraisers have different qualifications. I forget the name of the exact qualifications or the name of it. There's like 400 and they're all classified under one thing and et cetera, et cetera. With FHA, it's completely different. You have to be qualified through FHA, and FHA will only pick their FHA approved people, right? So all of that to say that FHA makes it a lot more complicated. They got their own inspectors, they got their own appraisers. Some people think that that's a good thing. Oh, well, my house is getting inspected by a really good person. Other people who are sellers, investors, and stuff like that kind of know the truth behind it and that it sucks. Maybe that's something that FHA fixes at some point. But basically, if they see anything with the property, a screw that's half screwed or anything like that, they'll fail it and then they'll be like, hey, I can't see the property for another 2 months. You're SOL because I'm not coming back in this area, and you can't use another FHA inspector appraiser. You have to use that same one and wait for them to be able to come back. So I had to give that full disclosure because I never lend to FHA. We're going to also use this, and I'll talk about that for USDA and VA loans and stuff like that. Unfortunately, that's how it is. But, it's government assistance. You pretty much get that with all government assistance. All right. As far as the buyer, when you're using FHA, you put down 3.5% and you go out and you try to find a property. Now, if you're trying to invest in your first piece of property, FHA will lend on single family housing. What single family housing is, it's 1 to 4 units. So if you guys are hearing this video and this is all you get from this 90-day challenge, use your FHA to try to buy multifamily, but really anything more than just one single house. Duplex, triplex, or fourplex, or quadplex, whatever you want to call it. But get you one of those because you can turn around and rent out the rest of the properties. This is something that everybody can get. You just need to have, in Texas, I believe it's like a 580, and I think they even decreased it, so it's like a 560 credit score. And you just need 3.5% down. Now, sound good, too good to be true? It's because it is. You have a higher interest rate when you go with, right? So you only put down 3.5%. You still have 96.5% principal of whatever that purchase price is, right? You have to pay on that. And if the interest is high, you get it for 12% or something like that, you have to pay that 12% on that $96,000. If it's $100,000, $96,000 every single year, right? So your monthly payment is going to be super high. If you went conventional and you paid the 20% down, your monthly payment would be a lot lower. And for the sake of this conversation, we're going to keep it pretty short because when we turn around and explain these things on Discord, we go into great detail about how a lot of this stuff works. And I'll answer some of y'all's questions live. Subscribe to our Discord and you'll get a much more in-depth version of this. But for the sake of this conversation, that's kind of how FHA works. The other thing is, if you buy a property, FHA, and they find out you move, they're pretty much going to try to foreclose on you. You can't move. You have to stay living right there. Change mailing addresses, et cetera, right? So that's one of the cons of FHAs. FHA, if you're personally trying to live somewhere You can use FHA if you need it. It's offered to everyone in the US. Don't quote me on that too much. I'm pretty sure it is. Some states may have changed some of their laws and stuff like that, but that's the feds giving it to you, you know? So that's how FHA works. Peace.